Welcome back to this week's video. Today we're going to be jumping in on getting the rear fenders cut so that we can get that usable space for the new Overfenders. So let's get into it. Alright, so we can get an idea of what we're working with. This is kind of what we're starting out with right now. So just to give you kind of a brief overview of what we're planning on doing, we'll start with marking out kind of a line that we're going to want to follow along with cutting. So ideally start somewhere around here, and then we're going to want to take it somewhere above the body line right here, and at that point we'll work it all the way back and basically try to match up with however we did the front, and basically do the same with the back. Now I have some riv nuts kind of already in here that are holding on the over-fender already, so we may need to put new nuts in depending on how our cuts go and stuff, and then how everything lines up. We'll see, but for the time being I don't think we're gonna be having too much of an issue. After we get this first layer cut, this is actually kind of like two layers. So there's the outer skin, and then there's like an inner skin from where the actual wheel well is. So we'll cut this outer portion out, and then it should just leave us with that inner skin that you can kind of feel on the other side. And from there, we're gonna try to work it up with either some hammers or whatever kind of massaging that we need to do to get it to come up and meet the outer skin. In some videos you'll see people will do like notches and cut it into notches and fold it up, and you can do that, but the overall look of that kind of looks like crap, and you'll end up having to do a lot more welding. And this way we're just going to massage that inner skin all the way up to the top half, and once the two meet, we can just weld that single seam and then make it look however we want. Ideally, like, it doesn't necessarily matter what it's going to look like overall at the end because it's going to be covered up anyways, but if we can just make everything nice and clean, it'll just help with the future. If for whatever reason we need to do any more cutting or whatnot, just keeps everything nice and professional looking. So we'll start from there. We'll start with making our lines, and then I have fine line tape that we're going to be running across to give us a better outline of where we need to be cutting, and just to stay under that. And then we'll start working in and kind of fine tuning the edges and stuff from there. But anyways, let's get into it. This is going to be day 2 of getting these Overfenders cut and then sealed up. So I got basically the first cuts done on the passenger side, and now we're going to basically take some hammers. We're going to bang up that inner seam, or the inner seal of the wheel well, and try to get it as close to the outer skin as possible. So we'll take a look at that real quick, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so this is what we're sitting on right now. Like I said, we got this outer skin cut, and we've exposed the inner skin. We cleaned up the edges a little bit yesterday, but now we're basically just going to be taking some hammers, banging the crap out of this, and try to get it as close to this as possible. If need be, we'll make some additional cuts wherever we might, but essentially we're just going to be trying to get these two seams to meet and go from there. We have a little bit of metal left over from where we cut out, so if absolutely necessary, we can try to add that little bit back in the places that maybe the gap's a little bit too big. But we'll go from there and then kind of see what we need to do after we get it shaped up a little bit more. Alright, so unfortunately we lost some audio on the GoPro, but I'll just kind of cover what we were talking about. So after we did all our cuts and stuff, we were trying to bang and massage that inner skin up with the hammer. There is quite a bit of a gap, and basically because I have to kind of get it to come up so far, I have to end up doing some relief cuts. So in order to get those relief cuts done, basically what we're going to do is just notch out a small cut right in the corner of each side. So up from the right corner all the way up as high as possible, and then going up to the left corner as high as possible. And what that should do is just allow us to fold each piece individually as high as possible, and that'll allow us to get it to meet the outer skin of the car. Basically, we want to try to keep our cutting to as minimal as possible so that we're not doing a bunch of welding on different seams, and all we got to do is just weld these 3 parts, and then afterwards we can go back and fill any gaps that we have with some plates that we'll make later on. Alright, so we just finished our massaging, and we got each section basically where we want it to be. There's a little bit of a gap at the moment, but once we start doing some tacks, it'll hold it in place, and then we can use the hammer to massage it up a little bit more, or just kind of hold it in place as we tack the rest of it. Once we're done with that, we'll go ahead and cut the rest of this excess material off, and then finish it off with the welder and seal up each seam. Then from there we'll go back and make the plates that we were talking about, fill these gaps that we have on each side, and we'll be good to go. So we took a little break, and now we're about to jump back into it. We'll show you guys where we left off, and then we'll jump into it. I'm basically done with the top right now. I'll probably go back and clean up these edges a little bit, but like I said earlier, I mean, this is all gonna get covered up anyway. The new Overfender is just gonna like bolt on, and it'll cover all this stuff, so you're not even gonna see it. I guess just making this look nice is really only for my own peace of mind, because it's not like it's gonna matter. But for the most part, everything is going good. We'll still probably have to cut a little bit of metal to try to fill in the gap that we have right here, but I mean, I would much rather do that than like cutting a bunch of little notches and stuff and having it look like complete garbage. So this is at least somewhat looking nicer. But alrighty, let's get back into it. Okay, so unfortunately, because a lot of our audio got messed up for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, I'm just going to re-record some of the things that I already had done. So I was going to show you guys the templates that we had cut out for the front and back gaps that we needed to fill. So the first one was this guy, and this was for our front gap. And basically, this is like one of the best kind of tricks that you can do when it comes to any kind of fabrication stuff. Just take some cardboard and kind of put it up against the area that you're trying to, I guess, make the template for whatever reason that you're doing it for, and then just kind of slowly mark, cut out, and get it somewhat lined up and in the shape that you want it. After that, what we did, we took some of the excess metal. I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. So we took some of the excess metal and essentially just transferred those templates over to this piece of scrap metal that we had cut off of it earlier. After that, we essentially just start kind of refining it with some grinders and the cutoff wheels, and just getting it fine-tuned for the shape that we want. And then from there, we take it, put it up against the car in the spaces that we were trying to fill, and just use the hammer to massage it into shape. Okay, so this was the final outcome of everything. We got the front seam completely welded, the top seam completely welded, and the rear seam completely welded, and then we went back with the grinder and just touched up any of the ugly welds that I had done before. I tried to round off the edges as much as possible just so that nothing's sharp, and when you're sticking your head in here or you're sticking your arms in here to do any kind of work, you don't accidentally catch one of those edges and cut yourself. So most of them are pretty good. Now back in these areas, you can still see there's some gaps there and there's some gaps over here. We're just gonna go back with some seam sealer, and we're gonna fill in all those gaps that we made from pulling that panel out, and that'll essentially just seal up anything that we might have missed with the welder, as well as kind of getting those like holes and any other spots that might have broken from just massaging that panel out, and essentially just sealing it from any kind of smoke or anything that might be able to come back into the cabin. That being said, when we go to actually seal the car up, I'm probably going to do it from the inside, and we'll make some plates and stuff, and anywhere like around where the wheel wells are or for the trunk space, we'll make some plates and cover all that stuff up and seal everything. I think the best way to try to prevent anything or any smoke coming from outside into the cabin is to start from the inside out. Essentially, when you do it that way, you're already kind of looking at any of the spots that you can visibly see inside the cabin that might be able to allow smoke or any other air to get in, and just sealing any of those gaps is like your first #1 step. If you still have issues after that, you can try to troubleshoot and figure out where your leaks are coming from. But generally speaking, if you seal the cabin from the inside first, you usually shouldn't have any issues, and if you do, it'll probably be pretty minor. Thank you everybody for watching. Unfortunately, the new microphone that we got did kind of take crap on us. I think I know what the issue was, and hopefully in the next video that won't happen again. But that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I liked getting to show you guys kind of getting these Overfenders cut, and regardless of how my welding is, like I said earlier, nobody's going to see this once we put the Overfenders back on, so we'll probably touch it up with a little bit of paint and call it a day. That being said, I'll probably do the other side kind of off camera just because it took quite a while just to get this one side done, and I want to be able to put out different videos next week and not be covering the same topic in 2 weeks in a row. So that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to follow along with the build, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.